Hello everybody and welcome back to some more SevTech Ages tips and tricks, looking at Age 2 today. As the ages progress, things start to open up wider and wider, and the more your general base knowledge of modded Minecraft is going to come into play, utilizing JEI and the guidebooks that each mod gives you when you get into them respectively can help you find a lot of these hidden things. As I go forward, I'll just be trying to point out some of the best ones, some of the ones I found most useful. So in Age 2, Cyclic opens up quite a few interesting items here. So the first one I wanted to look at are the climbing gloves. These things are completely bonkers, especially when you're getting into the Twilight Forest area and getting up some of those big towers in there. You can just use these gloves to climb up the outside of the building instead of actually going through the gauntlet of the inside of the building. So they're relatively easy to make. Just some leather, black dye powder, some slime. Shouldn't be too hard at all to get these guys. And you can just you'll want to, for the most part, have these off. So if you just open up your bauble slot there and right click, then they're off and they won't work. So if you're trying to go up and down stairs and stuff like that, that won't be super annoying. But if you wanted to go up a big tower, just turn them on and you climb. You don't even though these are ladder blocks, the ladder is actually on the opposite side of this. So as you saw before, I couldn't climb it. Now I can, just because these are ladder blocks. The second one is the torch launcher, sorry. This will save you a lot of coal if you're going to be lighting up a big area around your base to stop those pesky mob spawns. So for 2 blocks of coal, 2 pieces of gold, and a log, you get the torch launcher. I don't know how many torches it holds in it, but it's a lot more than the 36 that you would normally get if you made torches the old-fashioned way by putting 1 piece of coal with the fiber torches in your inventory, because you get 2 torches for each piece of coal, and these take 9, so that's 18 times 2, 36. It holds probably close to 100, I would imagine, so it's definitely a lot more effective use of your coal if you're going to be doing massive things. And it's also pretty neat in that if you break a torch and it goes into your inventory, it actually goes back into the torch launcher so you can refill them. And it's also really handy for lighting up things that are far away. Like, works like that. And then it's not quite as good as the blood lamp that we made back in Age 1, but it's also a little bit handier in that it doesn't take life points and you don't have to get into the blood magic mod proper to be able to use this guy. The next one is the brush scythe. Just made pretty easily, just a hoe, some sticks, and some string. And for clearing out all this massive amounts of grass there, it's just super handy. It's, you know, no muss, no fuss, just clear it all out. Won't affect your plants if you've got them in and around there, but you will get spammed with all of the fiber, which that's a thing, but, you know, as we learned earlier, you just grab your fiber, hold shift over your garbage, and get rid of it all. If you don't want the flowers, you can garbage them, or you can put them back down if you want them to have them handy for doing dye crafting. Alright, so Age 2 does revolve, the main quest line at any rate, revolves around Astral Sorcery. And one of the items that it gets you to make here, it's not required, but it is technically required because you'll really want to find one of these rich star fields. So using this item here, it's called a Fossic Resonator, and it's just in the description there. And I have it in my inventory here. It's not too hard to craft at all. You just need to get some liquid starlight, which you get from making the collection bucket there. And that sounds like I've got some demon cats around, so let's just take care of this. So you can see here there's a big star field here right in the middle of my base. This is where I put my light wells so that I can collect up the starlight. But we can also see, I'll go over here and show you there was another one close by over here. The amount of stars that you see in the blue smoke is indicative of the strength of the star field. So this one's pretty strong. The one that's right beside my base is fairly strong, and I'll be back in a minute to show you another one. So as we can see here, this is another star field, but this one is about as weak as you can get because there aren't any sparkly star things inside the field itself. Alright, back in my base where it's safe during the night. So the next thing, Endermen will start spawning and will drop the Ender dust. They don't actually drop Ender pearls, and you actually have to put them into your melter and cast them into Ender pearls. I do suggest you go out and find your gold first so that you can make the casts. Otherwise, you're restricted to clay casts, which only have one use. But you need to get an Ender Pearl to get your resonating wand so that you can actually do starlight crafting. That's it for the Astral Sorcery part that's not obvious here. Use the book that you get when you get into the mod there to look up most of the things. Just as a side note, there are some extremely powerful things you can get from Astral Sorcery that aren't locked down in Age 2. For example, flight. And it's actually probably the best flight in the game, with the exception that if you run into the side of something while you're going really, really fast, you will die, despite even having the wild dog pelt boots or slime boots. That will stop fall damage itself, but it won't stop you from momentum damage. So you run into the side of something that can kill you. So Age 2 does give us access to Tinkers. Highly suggest that you get into the mod itself and get right up to the tool station or tool forge, just made with some blocks of iron, your tool station, and some seared bricks, which you make to get your smeltery going. And again, you want to have your gold so you can create the casts so that you can make your Tinker's tools. So I've got the kind of Age 4 upgrades going on these ones with Cobalt and Manulin, but just do a bronze pickaxe, and if you've gotten into the temple, Ocean Temple, and gotten these, then you'll have lots of Prismarine. Prismarine is one of the next best materials for making early weapons, and it's all outlined in the materials and U guide. You just go in there, you can look at all of the tool materials, and they will tell you exactly, you know, their mining level, their durability, mining speed. You can min-max that to your heart's content. There's a lot of stuff you can do in there. I'm still actually stuck on bone halves because those actually add damage, so that's why I've got them in there, and they're not bad on the durability either. I just haven't bothered to upgrade to other materials on those. If you put together your crafting station, which is just a crafting bench in your inventory, and then all four of the other Tinker's items, you can create a multi-block, and you can switch between them just using the tabs at the top here. So you go to your stencil table, say I want to make this sign plate pattern, and I do suggest you do this because if you can make a sign which is works like a shield, and you make it out of cactus, then enemies will hurt themselves when you're blocking. So you just put it into the pattern chest there. You can skip over to your part builder, click your sign in there. If I had some cactus, I'd put it on there and make a cactus one. Then you go to your tool forge, and then to make the sign, it will tell you need a tool rod and a sign, and then you'll get your sign back. Battle sign is an ultimate defensive weapon. Uses a shield and reflects projectiles. So battle sign, really good shield if you're into the defensive style of play. All right. Right, so we'll just pop upstairs here. If you've noticed in past videos, you've seen I've got a whole bunch of starlight poured out onto the ground here. That's because I've been upgrading my rock crystals into the celestial crystals. And this is the main way that you have of generating extra stardust. Normally you can only find stardust by breaking the sample, the rock crystal sample that's on the surface. So I've got one over here. We'll just have to excuse the enemies. We'll dodge around them pretty quickly. Where is it? Let's go around this side. No, it's over here for sure. And I've lost it. So maybe I broke the one that was over here. But anyways, you just break the rock crystal sample that's on the surface and you'll get a stardust. And then if you put in one piece of stardust and one rock crystal, and it doesn't matter what the stats on this because it will completely change when you make the celestial crystal. And you just throw these into there. And then you'll see the blue particles coming off. This is in the process of making the celestial crystal. It will suck up the starlight there, and a little crystal will form at the bottom. There's 3 stages of growth. So once it's back up and emitting some white particles again, then it's ready to be broken. You just use your pickaxe and break it, and there's a chance you will get multiple. So you'll always get 1 back, but there's a chance you'll get 2 and possibly 3 back from it. So that's the crystal there. It will grow up in 3 different stages, and then you break that and you have a chance of getting more stardust back. So that is the main way of getting more of the stardust. So the last thing I'm going to touch on here, I was just going to say quickly, for your drawers, I do suggest making the 2x2 type of drawer because there's so many different items and you don't need to have 1 drawer per item. So those are the ones there. To get your drawers, you do have to make the framing table and then make the frame drawers. So they're a little bit expensive to make the 2x2s, but just generally well worth it to get it off these, the shelves and such like that, especially when you're starting to get multiple stacks of your items. Drawer controller comes in age 2, but I was never able to, in age 3, but I was never able to make it. I had to wait till age 4 to get an easier recipe for it. The last thing, promised this time, to in the map, or in the quest line, there is the iron apple, which is advanced mapping, and that's here. So if you look at the recipe on the iron apple, it is all items that you get from the Between Lands and the Twilight Forest. It's mostly all Twilight Forest, with the only item being the Ring of Ascent, which is actually the biggest part of the grind in getting the iron apple, because it only comes as a chance and you can find it in all of those areas that you see as you hover over it there. The next grindiest thing are these Charm of Keeping 3s, which are made by putting together 4 Charm of Keeping 2s, which are made by putting together 4 Charm of Keepings. So in all, it does take 32 Charm of Keepings, which is going to be a little bit more than you get just from randomly going through the Twilight Forest itself. I got 1 Charm of Keeping 3, 1 Charm of Keeping 2, and 3 1s after combining them all, just going through all the mazes and opening up all the chests that I could find along the way in the general progression there. All of the other items in there are relatively easy. Lamp of Cinders just comes part of the quest line if you do the entire Twilight Forest. Blank magic maps and an empty map, those are pretty easy. Maze map focus is a little bit of a random drop, but not too hard to get if you're wandering around the Moosh Room maze. Alpha Yeti Furs, pretty easy. Magic Map Focus, those are all pretty easy there. Do make the magic map for the Twilight Forest, because on this guy here, it will show you where all the different bosses are and areas. And you can look up some guides on how to read it and which bosses are which. But just generally to say, you do have to do them in order. So you go Naga, then the Lich, then you move on to the maze, Minotaur maze. And then after that, there's the Hydra, and then there's another smaller maze type where you fight the knights, so on and so forth. And those are all on there. Use between the Twilight Forest map will be a lot handier than trying to use your Antique Atlas map, because this can be pretty useless when you're in the Twilight Forest, because there's a lot of areas you can't go into until you've completed the previous area. So that's everything I'm going over in this one. I will go over some Twilight Forest and Between Lands specific stuff in the next video. Take care, and we will see you on the next one. Jenny, bye-bye.